Hey, Matthew. Huh? That's fine. Yeah, you're going to wear your tux under your robe. Okay. Tell me your name.
Yogurt.
Yogurt. And how'd you get here, Yogurt?
I slide.
You what?
I crawled on the ground.
You crawled on the ground all the way from Houston? And how long did it take you?
1 minute.
1 minute. You're fast. And where are we tonight?
Dallas.
Dallas. That's right.
Dallas, Texas.
What's your name, son?
My name is Yogurt. I like to smoke. Yeah.
Okay, sit down, silly. It's working.
When there's a couple ahead of you is on about the third row.
No, don't do that. Come on. Don't, David. Huh? No. No, oh, I'm missing Sarah. Isn't she a beautiful bridesmaid? There's Mom.
What are we supposed to do?
Now, Mom and Dad.
Good job, Matthew.
Good job, sir. Thank God for that.
Yes? If you guys will emulate the turn I just took when you come here, just turn to your right, okay? Once you get in your spot, come right here. You'll stand right next to me. Turn to your right. You're going to turn toward your right shoulder. Once you get in your spot, then just turn to your right. They all turn to the left. Okay, you know what? No, you know what? It looked like it was easier for you doing it that way than putting it the other way. You know, we all just naturally kind of went up and turn. Because you turn in, right? Okay, I'll do the same. I'll come in and I'll turn in. So that we all look uniform. So when you come, you
Aren't you supposed to give the ring or something?
Yeah.
Oh. No, let me get Heather, then you can film.
Now can I do it?
Makes sense?
Yeah. Good picture of our buddies here. It makes people busy.
And after that, he kisses Heather, then you'll offer her or Ron. Okay, then
Here comes Bride. Here comes Bride. Here comes Bride, but she's already there.
it'll be about 4 minutes for them. And then once you hear the music finish, then go ahead and walk it up. You want to do that now, just to get a feel for it?
That's Chris. That's Heather.
Pretty redhead, isn't she? She though. Is this a nice surprise to her? My mom's always listened to
It's you, man.
Let's do it. Hello, Miss Lindsay. How are you doing? Good to see you.
Is there some discrepancy in the seating?
I don't know. There's Kirk Myers calls it wrong. There you go. Now you can put a staff right
Oh, I know. I know, you agony.
I hate to miss it.
tuition school help here or there. What year did she graduate?
Let's see, she graduated. You know what? I can't say no. I'm like, oh, that's
It was a great conversation.
but that's okay.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Would you join me in an opening prayer? Let's pray together. Father in heaven, thank you for this beautiful evening. Thank you that we can look out on your creation, Lord. Know that you've called the stars out by name once again. Just as you have called Chris and Heather to be together, Lord. You've prepared them since before creation. And you've brought them together, Lord, to celebrate your goodness and to love each other. Thank you so much for this evening. Thank you for this food. Thank you for the fellowship we have in Christ. We pray in his name. Amen.
It's really long hard. Because we were in college and had to come down here. Yeah. And so I just
I want to know where Judy is. Is Judy coming tonight?
She's supposed to be. She came with the Wits, but she's parking the car.
Maybe I'll see her in the ladies' room later. Okay.
Please tell her we hope she'll stop by our table. We want to say hello to her.
What table is this?
Table 6.
Table 6.
Yes, if you can send Judy Carrollton by, we just wanted to thank her for all she's done for the wedding.
She's very happy to be able to help. And the bills will be coming.
5 of them.
Say hi to Chris and Heather.
Here they are.
Hi, Chris and Heather. It's fun being here with Judy Carrollton. I met her earlier. She's wonderful.
She's working double shift today.
Working a couple of shifts.
We haven't seen her yet.
I saw her.
Oh.
Yeah, she's looped through. Got the card off.
Okay.
Well, anyway, we're thrilled.
Yes.
But he's showing,
Look at the
she's showing off her ring.
The engagement.
You're supposed to kiss him. Wonderful.
When's the big day?
October 26th. I was watching something on NBC. It was like the real West Wing.
I wanted to
like
see
that.
that.
Oh, it was good.
I was traveling. I missed it. I wanted to see it.
And that's what they were watching. Like,
Oh, you're multi-dimensional. Both still photography and live video. That's only for Chris, right?
Only.
Yeah. Well,
Only for
stop.
Chris. Do you have
I'm glad to be here for this momentous
Do you
occasion.
have any good words for him?
The good words are to
The bride
first of
and
all,
groom.
make sure that the wedding tomorrow goes fine, which I'm sure it will. Relax on the honeymoon. And then when you come back, that's when the real marriage starts. And just take it day by day.
Should they move out of their house and let somebody come, some college guys live there?
I would heavily recommend moving out for a while. On my recommendation, I'll pick the people. We'll have a little quid pro quo here. I'll find somebody, probably, maybe a good SMU boy or something like that, to come live at their house.
That
A good
would be
8 months or
awesome.
so, and then we'll call it even.
Perfect. Perfect. All right, we're going to scan table, what is this, table what?
Table 5.
Table 5. Table 5. Your parents made it, by the way. There you go, sir. Traffic jam. Oh my goodness, to work.
Walter Miller's going to win, and so he's going to have to move up to China.
Nothing wrong with it.
I went to a hated of red.
Yes.
We're not saying anything really exciting right now, John.
Where are the kids right now?
The kids are hanging out with a friend, but they can't wait to be disruptive at the wedding tomorrow.
Nice. I can't wait to see them. That's amazing. How old's the oldest?
Good, promise.
How old's the oldest?
She's 10. She is Ocean State School's Matthew Preston.
Second Baptist? Under the heading of Dr. H. Edwin?
Yes.
That's awesome. Nice. Matthew's quite a character, but nothing like that David.
Big shoulders, chest, thin waist.
Yeah, and David and I, all we do, he'd be Michael Jordan, and I just hold him up and just go around the country.
Good evening. How's the volume on this?
Good.
I would like to welcome you to the dinner. My name is Clay Lipscomb. I'm the brother of the groom. Some of you thought that he didn't have a brother. That's me. The Lipscombs would like to welcome you to our dinner. Chris and I, we actually shared a bedroom for 6 years. And he would probably tell you his more honest moments of those best years of his life. And if you're ever in Houston, the bedroom is still there, you want to get a tour, you can drop by the Lipscomb household and mention my name. Tell them Clay sent you, and if you do that, you can get to see the collection of Speedos from his swimming days in college. I don't want to build it up too much because the quantity has dwindled over the years. We're down to like 5 or 6. We sold a lot of them off soon after he retired, and because there's a lot of demand right then. So if you can find some of them. Occasionally, you find one on eBay. They're circulating. So, but that's something you'll find in the Lipscomb bed and breakfast, as they call it. This evening, I've had a lot of people come up to me and ask me about, okay, what's the story with Chris and Heather, and as though I know everything. But the problem is we're in Houston, and the flow of information is not what it is in Dallas. Our information is not really all that great, but I can give you a rough sketch, and maybe throughout the evening, some of you all can fill in the details. They met in '91 at TCU, and neither of them remember meeting. And then they also went to a U2 concert in '93, and Chris doesn't remember meeting Heather. Heather remembers Chris. Chris was focused on more important things, I guess, or what he thought was important. And a lot of you know that Chris is a big U2 fan. He has been to a concert of every U2 tour since 1987. And if you're wondering who the character is, the picture behind him, that's the lead singer of Bono. I just want to make sure everyone's in the know there. So they met 93 U2 concert, and the first time the Lipscombs met Heather was when she came to Houston in late '95, and we were all very charmed by her, and the ladies in the family sort of took note and thought, oh, we have some possibility here. we can work with this. So that's when the scheming and the dreaming started. But the problem is, Chris is in Dallas, so you can't have much influence. And it took a while, I think, for the romantic part. For a while, there was no sign of life at all. I remember one time, my mother, Chris was coming down to Houston to visit, and my mother said, well, why don't you bring Heather down? And Chris's reply, which we've quoted for years, is, I'm not going to haul her down there. Now, the key word there is haul. It's romance and haul. That doesn't come to mind when you think of romance. And then Heather would visit us every once in a while through the late 90s. I think she got down there maybe 98. I think the hall incident happened like 98. And then 99, 2000, we saw a little more of her. And then our information, our intelligence was in early 2000 that they were dating. Whoa. So the Lipscomb ladies and other women in the family got really excited. Then there was hope. Of course, I've always sort of just let the man be. Tried to come to his defense when possible. And they were engaged October 6th, 2001. But the truth really became evident to me when I found out about the U2 concerts. In 2001, they went to 4 U2 concerts. They went to 2 in Dallas, Boston, and New York. And that's, I mean, with Chris, that's true love. U2 love, true love. And that's when the writing was on the wall. We knew that this was something was big going to happen. Anyway, I'd like to just say how excited I am and happy for both of you. And pleased that Heather didn't get away. You were patient with Chris. Well, would you please grab your glasses, and I would just like to toast Heather and Chris to years of marital bliss. Cheers. Okay, now I'd like to invite anyone that wants to say a few words, make a toast, tell a story, fill us in on the details of what's been going on in Dallas, things we've missed. Whatever you want. If you feel bold about speaking loudly, you don't come up to this mic, that's fine. I know it's intimidating, but if you're not a strong voice, please come on up and give us a few words.
I guess I'll go next.
Sure.
Not sure how much my voice will carry till I get back here. When Chris and I had lunch here on back before you asked Heather, one of the first questions I think I asked him, I said, what took you so long? So to hear the history recount, I guess you saw why I asked the question. Because we weren't sure, what direction it was headed either. But no, I'm from a family of all girls, so I'm the only guy, And until about a year ago, August, I was the only man. And then our youngest daughter, Joy, got married. So now I have a son, my first son, I guess, and now I have my second one. So I'm really pleased to welcome Chris into the family. And I have to tell you that this result of tonight is probably a result of a lot of prayer. For the last, I don't know how many years, my wife and I have been praying for. You need prayer for a lot of things too. So but our prayer is, well, I guess the main thing is, I feel like marriage is a permanent thing. I know it's not maybe the thing that's happening nowadays in our society, but I really was praying for a guy that knew the Lord and somebody that it would be a lifelong commitment. And I sense that that's what it's going to be, and I really feel like it's an answer to prayer. So, but I'll tell y'all what I told Joy and Caleb too, that I feel like I prayed this into happening, but that doesn't mean it's going to stop, because we keep on praying for for our girls. They're always going to be our girls, even though Heather's the oldest, but I've got 2 down and 1 to go, so I'm still praying. But no, I was just really pleased that Chris is in our family, and Eleanor, and all of their family too. It's really a blessing to have friends like that. So I too would like to toast. And my toast would be, to me, a marriage can only be successful if Christ is the center of it. Really, without that, I don't think it stands a chance. And my prayer is that their commitment to the Lord, as they look up, it draws both of them closer together, because we've all got faults, and we got to see beyond that. We got to see others, see our spouse the way God sees us, and see not what is, but what can be and what will be, and He'll change both of you. It's not an easy deal living together well, my wife and I lived together for 35 years now, so she'll probably attest it hasn't all been all that good, but my toast would be to a Christ-centered life and marriage, and a successful marriage, and your love will grow. Cheers.
I'm Mom, I'm from Houston, and I have a toast, and it's not only to my son Heather and her family, but it's to all his extended family here in Dallas, because he left about 10 years ago, and so y'all shared a lot of things that I hadn't known about, so I'm really looking forward to hearing about it. And so I just want to thank each of you for being here, because you're all so special to Chris and Heather and the Woods, and to me and my extended family over here. I have a whole group of friends, because I don't have a big family, so they've all honored, you're an honored guest here tonight. And my toast is to you that are here first, and then to Heather and Chris, of course, and because we have really been praying a lot for this, because we didn't know what was going to happen, but some of you up here, we get, like my son said, information back, so we're just so glad it's come to fruition, and we're all here together to celebrate, and I thank you all for being here, because you're such special friends to all of us, and I thank you for being here. So, I don't bring my glass with me, but salute.
Come to the mic. Step up to the microphone. CIA officer.
I'm not sure if you heard me or not, but I think I was the intelligence from Dallas leaking information to Houston.
What's your name?
I'm Erin Donovan. Thank you. But I have the unique pleasure of knowing Chris before knowing Heather, but coming to such a special friendship with Heather. So for me, tonight is about 2 people, 1 toast. So, I'm here to toast both of you at one time. So, but first of all, to Chris, I know we all give Chris a hard time about, having his favorite family and then moving on to the next. But fortunately, my family happened to be one of those families. And as much as we give you a hard time about it, Chris, I just thank you for your faithfulness of just sharing the gospel and the truth of the gospel, and how that really just impacted my life and allowed me to come to know the true fruits of what the Spirit is, and just helping me to become involved more with our church and what it stands for. And I just thank you for your faithfulness. And then to Heather, I cannot believe this. I started working at Hockaday 4 years ago, and in no way did I expect to form the friendship with Heather that I've formed. And it took a while, but we became fast friends and close buddies, and I can't imagine anyone else who could spend more than 5 days a week with me and still be my friend and be excited to talk to me and to be thrilled for me and as I am for you. And I just thank you for your close friendship and just for the bond that we share and that you put up with me every day. So just to both of you, I'm so thrilled for you and excited for what everything is to come. So cheers to Heather and Chris.
Hi, I'm Connolly McGreevy, and I've known Chris and the Lipscomb family for, well, probably as long as anybody in this room has. Chris and I go way back, probably to we were 4 or 5 years old, when I moved on the street, or just down the street from the Lipscombs, and we became fast friends very early on. And you know, as I looked over and saw that picture of Bono, it reminded me of his favorite rock band prior to U2, which was Kiss. Which many of you may not know. When we were little, Chris had a Kiss poster in his room. Actually, Clay and Chris both did. I should say that it was both of their favorite groups. Chris probably had a lunch pail also with Kiss on it. Maybe some other Kiss paraphernalia. Anyhow, one day we got to talking about Kiss, and he told me, and mind you, we're probably 6 or 7 years old at this point. He told me that he had recently been to a Kiss concert. And for those of you that don't know Kiss, they're a very heavy metal rock band, and in the 70s, they used to paint their face with makeup, and well, they were a very entertaining group. So we got to talking, and he told me he'd been to a Kiss concert. And I guess me being as naive as I was then, and probably still am somewhat to this day, I believed him. And I asked him how it was, and I guess I was going along the line of questions that Chris really didn't have the answers to. So his response to me was, when I started asking the tough questions, was that I fell asleep in the concert. That's virtually impossible to do, as I look back on it. But you know, Chris and I have, like I mentioned, have had a very long friendship. He's, as you've heard and will continue to hear, that Chris not only has a way of coming to your house physically, he has a way of kind of moving in also, and really getting to know all of your family members. And you know, my family was no different. My poor sisters especially were the butt of many Chris jokes and ribbing and all sorts of stories. And I see the Herons over there, and I know that they can tell probably equally as many stories about Chris just showing up at their house at all hours of the night. But we've had a very, very long friendship and a very good friendship. And when I look back on it, you know, some of the best points of my life have been with Chris, and it's been with Chris as an individual. And you know, I guess the point of my toast here this evening is that I look very much to enjoying some of the best points of my life going forward with Chris and Heather as a couple. Chris is a dear friend of ours. He's the godfather of my child. Jackie and I just love he and Heather, and we're still looking forward to him being down in Houston, both of them being down in Houston and spending more time down there. So congratulations, many years of a wonderful marriage, and we'll look forward to seeing you in Houston soon.
So told me that an Indian lived in his attic. And I believed him that the Indian lived in the attic, and we would spend hours staring down into the attic closet looking to see if we could see the Indian. It's gullible.
Crystal, calling for Chris was an Indian. Uh-oh.
We have a little joint group thing here. Some of my helpers are going to probably just stand where they are. And are you able to come up front? Why don't you come to the microphone so everybody can hear? It's wonderful to hear the real history, the Houstonian history of Chris. being sort of a tumbleweed rolling from home to home. For the last 4 years, he's ended up at our house. I'm just so thankful that Heather is now taking the ball from us, and he will now end up with Heather at their house. But just as a little introduction, we'd like to give you the top 10 reasons why Chris and Heather are absolutely perfect for each other. Number 10.
Okay, number 10. Well, Bono's already married.
Number 9.
Only one person in the marriage can be center stage, and it ain't Heather.
Number 8.
Only one person in marriage can have PMS, and it ain't Heather.
The 7th reason why Chris and Heather are made for each other.
Heather, if the toilet ever gets clogged, we know from experience that Chris will go at least elbow deep.
Number 6.
Have you ever seen Chris's David Hasselhoff invitation?
The 5th reason why they are perfect for each other.
We are very hopeful, Heather, that you will be the cure for the perennial cough.
Number 4.
Oh, goodness gracious. Okay, we've all been kind of worried about their communication skills between one another, but we figured this out. Now, Chris, he talks all day long, but Heather, she talks all night long in her sleep. No problem.
Number 3. Recently discovered FBI reports show it was them, Chris and Heather, who, acting in tandem, and not Kim Zemeskal, who sabotaged Carlita's parallel bar career at the 1988 Olympics. Number 2.
We hope that Heather will keep Chris out of the beds of other couples like the Pogolovs, the Highslips, the Bullocks, Grandma Richie Lewis.
And the number 1 reason why Chris and Heather are perfect for each other. The best marriages are based on 2 things. The love of Christ, which they definitely have, and a wonderful friendship, which they've taken 10 years to develop. God bless you, brother and sister. We love you all.
Where's Heather? Well, the previous group opened a lot of can of worms here. I'm Chris's aunt, and my first, one of the first gatherings we had with Chris was when we invited Chris over to stay all night. And the owner said, well, do you have a thick pad on the bed? What do you mean? She said, well, you know, he swims all day at the Y, but he swims all night. Also, there'll be 2 or 3 events in the middle of the night to take care of Chris. So Heather, I think you ought to know a couple of these things. We're opening a few can of worms here from the family. But seriously, Chris is my precious little nephew. When my father met you for the first time at my parents' 75th, I think, wedding anniversary, and there were 7 grandchildren. None of them had any prospects except Chris. So we felt like my father, who was 98 at the time, needed to have something to feel like that there would be the legacy carried on. So you were it. You know, when we presented you and we said, look, here's Chris's girlfriend. And so my father was very encouraged, and we were very glad to meet you. Chris was also a counselor at Camp Kanakuk, and when Ray and I and our children were up there, he had just an outstanding reputation among all the counselors as being somebody that really cared for all these little boys, and he did a fabulous job with them. And I was very proud that Chris was my nephew. And so, Heather, I want to welcome you to the family with the pros and all the cons, and we're delighted to have you. And so, here's to you. Thank you.
Where's Woodell?
I'm Joy Newman. I'm Heather's sister, and I just wanted to start off by saying how happy I am for the two of y'all. At first, when I remember a long time ago, and you talking to me about Chris, and it's just, I was like, gosh, you know, y'all known each other for 10 years, and then when y'all started, you know, finally getting together, and it's amazing how everything works in the Lord's timing, and it's just, I'm just really happy for you. And at first I'd be like, Heather, this isn't normal. I mean, because she'd come to me like, it just took like a while. It took a while to process, and I was just kind of like, I don't know how normal this is, Heather, but it was all in God's timing, and you were so patient, and you had more patience than I would have ever had. And there was a reason that God granted you all that patience, and I'm so thankful that He did. And I just want to welcome you to the family, Chris. And I just really like hanging around you. I really do. It's like you're really funny and fun to be around, and I'm really happy that you're here. And I just only being married a year and a half. We got married actually a year and a half ago, so I don't have just a ton of advice, but I just wanted to tell you that the most important thing that you can do for Chris is just pray for him, and Chris for Heather, and just pray for each other, and that's so important, and it's amazing what God can do. So, and it's not always going to be easy, and I just lean on God for everything, turn to Christ, and He'll get you through anything. So I wish you all the best, and I'm so glad you're going to be a part of our family, Chris.
Okay, I've been married to her for 18 months. I'm Caleb, and I just wanted to speak actually to Chris. Glad Chris is marrying Heather because it keeps swimming in the family. Chris swam at TCU, I swam at SMU, so if we can get Katie together with somebody from Northwestern, then we'll all the guys, all the brother-in-laws will be swimmers that way. But 18 months in this family with these in-laws, I could not have asked for a more wonderful group of family members to join or to be with, and knowing that they are praying for me, as well as Joy and her sisters that are always praying for us and for our relationship, and will pray for your relationship. And how important that is to me, and how much that's going to help you as you go through your days, to have that type of prayer base that's so broad. And I mean, I know if you had been as fast as me, we would be celebrating your 10th anniversary. We got engaged after 10 months, so we were on the fast track, you were on the slow track. There's nothing wrong with that. I just, I would remember to be very thankful for what the family you're joining, and then your in-laws are going to be. I watch sitcoms, and I'm watching. Oh my gosh, the in-laws are coming, and just to know that, oh, Mike and Penny are coming. That's wonderful. It's wonderful when Mike or Penny are coming, because that means, oh boy, the in-laws are coming, and then you watch Friends or whatever, and it's a wonderful family, and I think that's a blessing to Chris, and he knows that. I know that he knows that, but I guess I wanted to get up here and thank the in-laws as much as anything, I guess. But I know that if you guys continue to pray for each other, that there are more than enough people praying for you, and it's going to be a wonderful marriage as long as you continue to look to God.
My name is Katie Golick. My husband Nathan and I are friends of Heather's and we really got to know them at the same time through work in the youth group at church and at the Bullocks and at the Hawkscliffs and at the Donovans and wherever else we all landed. But Aaron asked me earlier if I was giving the standard toast, and so Nathan and I, we kind of do have the standard toast or the token toast or whatever, but the only reason why we give it to our dearest and closest friends because it's so true, and it's advice that Nathan's youth pastor gave to us the night before we were married. And it's just the simple advice and the simple truth that in marriage, if you treat it as almost a competition to try to outserve each other, then it'll be really successful. And we know that you have the love of Christ, obviously. And but to serve each other, to outserve each other is really hard to do. And we always joke, when Nathan gives the toast, he always says that I'm winning, and when I give it, I always say that he's winning, and that's probably a good way to look at it, but it's difficult to do. It's very difficult to do, but if you try to outserve your wife and outserve your husband, then you're doing what obviously the Lord has called you to do. So we're looking forward to growing in our marriages with you. We're looking forward for Emma to know a sweet young married couple that she can grow up and know and look up to. And Heather, we're excited to welcome you into East Dallas. It'll be tough to come out of the bubble, but it's nice. It's nice out there, and you don't need an oxygen mask or anything. If Chris can do it, then you can do it too. So we're excited about that. So.
Chris and Heather are both very scared. My name is Chris Height, and I have been Chris's roommate for the last 4.5 years, so I could tell more stories than anyone in this room. But first of all, I'm going to come back to Chris, but I'm going to start with Heather, because everybody's giving Chris a terribly hard time tonight, and I want you to know that they're made for each other in more ways than one. She's equally as odd as Heather. She's lovely, and she's definitely a woman that turns heads when she walks in the room, but I brought a couple props that I wanted to share with you all because I thought that I knew everybody would tell stories on Chris, but I know about Heather. I had a horse head that was a kind of a decorative item in my house, and Heather always made a lot of fun of this, and just, Chris Hyde, why do you have that? It's so gross. It's so weird. It freaks me out. And she wanted me to put it away when she was over at our house, and I'd be like, I don't know, just have had it a while. Thought it was pretty normal. Well, one day, Heather and Deidre had stored a lot of things in our garage, and I opened up a box. I thought it was mine. I started looking through things, and I found, let's see, where'd it go? Oh, here it is. A pony bookhead. Now, for those of you who haven't seen my horse's head, this is very similar. Well, inside the box with this was some pony stationery. It has a place for a stamp and things like that. And there was some pictures of a Cocker Spaniel kissing the nose of a horse. Well, those of you who don't know, Heather liked ponies when she was a child, and she's very fond of cockers. She has some stuffed animals, and she even had a jigsaw puzzle that was framed with her pony collection, and we kind of set her up on some fun things. And there's also, I've got a guide on first aid guide for pets, so I'm gonna give that to Chris because I know he wants to protect him. Anything that might be going on. And we've got some extra stationery for thank you notes. Heather, I know you've been looking for that. So, anyway, no, I had to give Heather a little bit of a hard time because she really does make so much fun of my horse's head, and I was gonna give it to you at a party sometime, but we've got it packed away. But Heather, it's been so much fun. You know, I always say that the roommate has the best seat in the house to watch love develop and stuff, and all your little fun things about where do you bank and what's your blood type and all kinds of funny questions that Heather might randomly. I started to poll the audience tonight just to take up blood types and where do they bank. But it's really been fun for our friendship to develop, and it's been fun as you've planned the wedding and just all the I can't even begin to describe how fun it's been to watch just your friendship with Chris grow and change, and just how fun it is even like when y'all open gifts and how entertaining. And before I go on to him, but I will tell you that your marriage will be very successful because it'll never be dull, for sure, and it'll be lots of fun and stuff. So anyway, and Chris, I don't really have as many props for you, but I thought I brought some CDs. Because I know that you always have to have a few CDs and stuff, and I had the Elevation DVD and a couple other things in case you wanted to play those tonight. We can get those out because Chris has quite the collection of CDs. But Chris, life, the one thing is unexpected surprises, and God is so good to us in so many different ways, and you truly have been an unexpected surprise in my life. 4.5 years ago, when Hickman and I had an extra bedroom, and you kind of dropped by to check it out and moved in on the spot. He pulled up in his Honda to come look at the room that we had for rent, and he said, "Yeah, I'll take it." And we were like, "Well, when do you want to move in?" He's like, "Well, if you'll go down to my car and help me carry some stuff, I'll move in right now." So that was 4.5 years ago, and there have been so many fun memories since that point. And first, he didn't really talk very much. We thought he was kind of introverted. He watched the Trinity Broadcasting Network. All of the TV evangelists were on there. But over time, as my friend married and went off, and then Hogan moved in, which was his friend, became a friend of mine, and I was outnumbered in my own home. And well, we won't even talk about that, Eric, because that was probably the downfall of me. But anyway, as time has gone on, Chris, I've really come to treasure your friendship. There's so much, my family actually, loves Chris because the same, thing that happens with the McGreevies and all these different families. Like one time, Chris took off with my whole family in my mom's Lincoln and drove them and around. They were gone for 3 hours, and then he showed up back up with them. I'm like, okay, well, whatever. So, but the thing that you've taught me so much about how to have a good time, how to have fun, and your faithfulness to your Bible study guys, and your just commitment to that is overwhelming. And I'm sad, like I told Heather, that you were kind of like mold, that you really grow on you after some time. Take a little getting used to, but tonight marks the end of an era of 4.5 years of a great friendship and a great roommate, and I do wish you and Heather all the best, and I will miss you all. So here's to you all.
Okay, I don't have anything planned. I'm the big sister, Elise Creston, and thank y'all for coming tonight. Chris is my little brother, and I'm so happy he's marrying Heather. She's a real blessing to our family. One thing though about Chris is that he's always had a problem with spilling his milk, so as a wedding gift to them, I'm giving them a tippy cup from Heather. Because Chris, to this day, still spills his milk in his water, as those of you know Chris very well. It's not for children or anything like that. We hope my children won't have any cousins anytime soon. But anyway, thank y'all very much for coming, and thank you, Heather, for marrying Chris.
I'm Sarah. I'm Chris's other sister, younger sister. And of course, I've been thinking for a while about what to say tonight. It's really hard to, I can't see my brother. It's really hard to kind of sum up, 27 years of being siblings. And I thought if I started chronologically, that might not be the best idea because we really had a rough start. As some kids are, I just don't think we got along that well. I don't know if I stole his thunder or something when I was born or what, but we just didn't, we fought quite a bit. But all, in children fun. But I remember the night that, I don't know if you remember, but I remember when I felt like we became friends. And it was, you had worked at Kanakuk, it was your summer after your freshman year in college. I guess you'd grown up or something by then. And, you had worked at Kanakuk and I had been a camper, and then I got home from camp and we stayed up talking with each other, and I was like, oh my goodness, this is so strange. I'm in his room, we were having a conversation, catching up, and I was thinking, he used to say if I put one toe across the carpet to his bedroom, he'd be threatening my life, So, I don't know, I feel like from that point forward we were friends, and it's been wonderful to see Chris become caring, and I know he hides it by being a comedian and by leaving his stuff everywhere, his things, just losing them and losing track of his driver's license and all that, but he really, it's been fun to watch. I know Heather's had a big influence on that the last couple of years, and especially the last 6 months, and I've loved watching Chris, I guess, become responsible and show his sensitive side and caring side, and I guess fall in love. And I just couldn't be happier for you two, and to have Heather as sister-in-law. It's my first one. I've always wondered what it would be like to have somebody marry one of my brothers, and I couldn't ask for somebody more special and kind, and a good example to me and a friend. And I hope you'll help him keep track of his stuff and maybe comb his hair in the morning, since I don't know if most of y'all probably, since he seems to stay at y'all's houses a lot, I guess you've seen his hair in the morning, so it's pretty bad. Rough head, I guess. But I'm very happy for you two to start this new part of your life together, and I know it will be fun and hard and all that comes in with marriage. And I love you both, and to Chris and Heather, and it'll be my last season. Congratulations.
The Woods family stole a little bit of my thunder, but I'm going to go ahead and hit on a couple of key points that I've really appreciated about Chris over the years, and I'm sure Heather has experienced and will continue to experience. And the first is just that he's such a man of God, and I really respected that a lot about Chris, and don't say that very lightly, because I've just really respected how Chris has worked in so many, really hard, in so many lives, including my own. I know Craig's and some of the guys in Bible study that he's just touched, and it's really unique, and we're still, not planned. On the flip side of the coin, their sister spoke about is Chris's abnormality, and I've certainly enjoyed that, and the time we got to live together was the closest thing, I think, to really living in an experience that was like Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. And I know that'll be something that Heather enjoys, and I've certainly enjoyed. But it's really a carnival every day in Chris's head. So that's been fun. I just call him sometimes to talk to him, just to hear what's going on in his head. A rough day. So, but those are two things I would definitely say are awesome about Chris, and I have appreciated and continue to appreciate. I know it's going to make Heather's life and their life together great. So Pardon the breaking down, but somebody had to do it.
To follow Jonathan, my name is Todd Kalen, and I was in Chris Lipscomb's Bible study from, I guess, 7th grade through senior year of high school. And from about 1994 to 97, my parents provided one of his secondary homes, so I got to know him pretty well through that. And back at school this past week, telling people I was coming home for a wedding. I'd say I'm going home for a friend's wedding, and they were like, "Aren't you a little bit young to have a friend that's getting married?" I was like, "Oh, he's my Bible study leader in high school." And they're like, "Oh, okay," they understood. And I didn't really think about it until the plane ride home, that when I talk about Chris, I don't talk about him as my Bible study leader, I talk about him as my friend. And that's different than a lot of people and their Bible study leaders. And it was just amazing to have, as Jonathan said, a man of God, not just to be our Bible study leader, to be such a friend through middle school and high school, where you develop so much into an adult, I guess. So I thank Chris for that. And then, funny story, Craig brought this to my attention this afternoon. Chris wears contacts. I bet most of y'all know that, and he wears contacts for a reason, because you don't want to see his glasses. He puts them on, and they're at least like 3.5 inches thick. I mean, they're ridiculous. And when he puts them on, like, he means business, basically. My friends and I have a name for him, but I'm not going to use it here. I'm gonna refer to him as the uptight glasses tonight. But if you've ever been on a trip with him, as Jonathan, or as whoever said about his hair in the morning looks terrible. I mean, the glasses just add to the terrible look. And any ski trip we ever went on, camping trip, wherever it was, every morning he'd have those glasses on, and it would instill fear into you. Get up, make your bed. You'd be on a church ski trip and you'd feel the need to make your bed just so you wouldn't feel the wrath of Chris and his glasses. But then it was so funny because later on in the day the glasses would come off and then it was fun, goofy Chris again, you know. But then sure enough, you go to bed knowing that the next morning those glasses are going to be back on again. But Chris, I thank you for your friendship over the years. You really have been a very special friend, and I wish you both the best. I remember playing tennis with you and Heather about, probably 10 years ago. We were first friends. But it's been neat to see you all fall in love with each other. And as my mom has said since they got engaged, it was about time. So I wish you the best.
I'm Rob Bennett. I don't really like queuing up in front of a crowd. Frank Bullock convinced me that I ought to tonight. It's more about Chris and Heather than it is about me being nervous about speaking. And ironically, this is a little bit like Chris is probably feeling tonight, which might seem a little bit like a surprise. But as David Jones pointed out not too long ago, Lipscomb really likes to steal the spotlight rather than be in the spotlight. So it's a little bit of a change, but I know you'll manage. I've known Chris for about 8 years. I went to SMU and I met him either late my freshman year or early sophomore year. Not quite sure, but I do remember that he's one of my closest friends from the very beginning. We hit it off, and I've known Heather almost as long. It's been really fun to have Chris around. Pretty much from day one, I've been Chris's apprentice. And been following around. I've really become comfortable with that position. He's been teaching me over these 8 years how to never pay for a meal on Sunday afternoon. So I've really got a long list of houses that I can go to Sunday afternoon after church and get a free meal. And invariably, Chris is already there. And so I have to get seconds, which is fine. But on a serious note, I just want to tell Chris and Heather how nice it's been to have you guys in Dallas. Chris has taken a little bit of heat for the prolonged relationship that they've had. I want to assure Heather and everybody that Chris's affection and relationship with Heather has never been in question. I've taken many late night phone calls from Chris from the time he actually bought the wedding ring, which was, well, I won't tell you when. And he had to talk about it. Chris Hyder knows as well. The late nights that we've met after work or after he's dropped off Heather and heard him talk and find it difficult to contain himself in speaking about her. So theirs has been maybe private, but is definitely present. Their affection's been neat to see. And also just wanted to say that I didn't grow up in Dallas. After I graduated from school, I didn't think I'd actually stay in Dallas. Although I like it, I kind of envisioned moving somewhere else. And it's been a wonderful 4 years of living here, but that's entirely because of the friendships and relationships I've grown or have here in Dallas through the church. And Chris and Heather are both foremost on that list. And Dallas wouldn't be the same, and I can't wait to continue that relationship as you guys go on in marriage. Here's to you guys.
Eleanor gave me a 3-minute limit, so.
You can ignore it.
I've already heard it. My name's John Waddell, and actually in the elevator today, Mrs. Gardier asked me, how did you meet the Lipscombs? And I was thinking back, and I told Sarah this a while back, and my car broke down at their house about 15 years ago, and they were the only ones to come rescue me. No, really, we met up at Kanakuk Camp, and we've had quite a friendship since then. Clay and I were actually in the same cabin as campers, and then my brother was Chris's counselor, which it's hard to believe that it's been quite a while. But I don't really have that many good stories on Heather, but I do have quite a few on Chris, as other people have. I actually taught Chris to drive. I know that. I know y'all know that he has a fascination with cars. It didn't come from me, it kind of came naturally, but when I was about 18, he was about 15, and he'd always be, hey, let's go driving. And so I'd be like, okay. And he taught me a few things about cars that I can't believe still to this day. One of them is if you go real slow, if you're in a tight jam and you're trying to turn your car, if you go real slow, Chris taught me that it will work out. And most of the time it does, except for a few times. But Heather, I wanted to give you a little bit of advice. If Chris ever pulls out a coat hanger and tells you that he can break in your car, I'm going to just give you a little advice that he can get in. And but it's going to cost you about $350. That's what it cost me. My car, I locked my keys in my car. I did it, Chris didn't do it, so I'm going to take the full blame. But I actually locked the keys in the car in Missouri, and we were in the middle of nowhere, and Chris said, oh, don't call a tow truck or anything. And it's like, that'll take forever for them to get here. So I'm like, oh, okay, I won't call a tow truck. And so I ended up calling the guy afterwards and said, how much would it cost? And he said, oh, about $25. But Chris got in, but all that black rubber stuff around the window, that was gone. But he's pretty good at getting in. Somebody else had mentioned about Chris and keys. I don't know, has anybody else noticed this, that he will take his keys? It's kind of a Highland Park thing. You get to somebody's house and you just kind of put the keys down. But Chris kind of throws them, I don't know. And then he gets ready to go. Might happen over the Bullock's house. And he's like, have y'all seen my keys? Who's got my keys? And
That happens at our house. It happens at our house.
And so you're just trying to find his keys. And one thing I will say, if he ever drives your car, which he loves to drive people's cars, don't let him keep your keys as you go in somewhere. Always get them back, because one time I had, you know that big black key they give you for your car? I had one of those keys, and I don't know if you can see it. I don't know if you can see it way over there, but Chris threw the keys at me, and I actually had to have some keys overnighted to get back in my car after Chris. He claims he doesn't remember it, but I wanted to tell one more quick story. It's my favorite one. about Chris. And I know he's outgrown all these things because today when we were getting ready, I happened to be over at their house, and I was just fixing to leave, and I heard Chris say, "Who's got a belt? Who's got a belt in here?" And so he was looking for a black belt, but it was only about 30 minutes before the rehearsal. But my favorite story about Chris and cars that I want to tell you about is Mrs. Lipscomb's mother was named Mimi Baldwin, Mary Baldwin, sorry. And Mimi, towards the end of her driving career, got in a little fender bender, and it was one of those huge, typical grandmother cars, huge car. And so it had been in the shop for about 6 weeks. And I was over at their house, and they needed a guy to take Chris to get the car. So 2 guys taking 1 car to pick up Mimi's car that had been in the shop for 6 weeks. And to make a long story longer, Chris basically, I dropped him off, and Chris basically went in to get the car, and then I said I'd meet you back at the house. And we get a call, and Chris says, "You're not going to believe what happened." And Mimi's sitting there waiting for her car to come home. And so I was like, "What?" And he goes, "I got in a car wreck right outside the shop." And the cars got stuck together. It wasn't a bad wreck, but the cars got locked together. And as Chris tells it, the owners of the shop were so happy because they just had it for 6 weeks, and it's like $3,000. And they immediately got another $3,000 worth of damage. But Chris went down there with the guys and tells the story how they all got on top of the car, and they had to, each of them, get in between there and kind of shake the cars, and then somebody had to hit it in reverse. But anyway, Heather, definitely no coat hangers. And one other thing, this happened at a wedding. I don't know if y'all run into this problem, but I've put together a little baggie of change for Chris because he has a hard time at parking garages coming up with the funds sometimes to get out of the parking garage. But we came up with a little. I think you'll be okay tonight and be able to get out of there. But if Clay would come forward, we have one small gift to present to Chris tonight. Clay, if you'd open it. We heard a rumor that, sorry, I thought Chris was maybe going to open this, but Clay told me about this rumor, and I verified it with the sources. Thank you. That Chris has never had, in his whole life, a robe. We happened to find one at a garage sale. It was our garage sale, that was the weird part. But we happened to find one for him, and we'd like to present it. Give him a hand for his first robe, ladies and gentlemen. And Heather will be very appreciative. But to both of them, I wish them lots of happiness and joy, and I thank them for their friendships. They are, and I will say this with both of them, I've known both of them for a good amount of time. They are true friends. If they are your friends, and if you know them, they are true friends. And I thank them for being that.
Hi, my name's Cliff, and I was one of those people in Chris' Bible study for 6 years. Chris was one of those peculiar people who demonstrated consistently faithfulness to us week in and week out, serving the Lord by showing us what it means to be a truly godly man. And I have no doubt that in Chris's and Heather's relationship, Chris will continue to show that faithfulness that he did to 6 completely ungrateful and not very agreeable, sometimes not very agreeable people. So it should be easy now that he has such a godly and wonderful woman to share his life with. So I wish you the best, and God bless you.
also was in Chris's Bible study. My name is Kirk Meyer, and I'd like to say that kind of what Cliff said in a way, that his influence on us was nothing you'll ever know, but it was excellent. I can say myself that I wouldn't be where I am spiritually if it wasn't for Chris's influence on me throughout high school, and I didn't really appreciate it until I got to college and he wasn't there to, just hang out with, I don't know, whatever. Anyway, we had Bible study since I got 7th grade. I thought it was 6th grade, but whatever, it doesn't matter. I remember we would, throughout those years, ask about the redhead, and the response was always quick and to the point that he didn't know. So we didn't ask any more questions. Well, same answer went until we were seniors in high school. I don't know, whatever. And so I go home one of the breaks, and my mom says that Chris and Heather are dating. I was like, wow. So I figured they'd date for another 10 years. But they didn't. He popped the question. I was very surprised, but proud of him, and wish the best luck to you. And I'm fully confident the marriage won't end, but if it does, the glasses will be a part of it. That's all I can say, and God bless you.
I'm Matt Keenan, and Chris and I met probably I think it was our sophomore year of college. And I want to start by addressing the YouTube Bono session. About 3 or 4 months ago, Chris was in New York, and we spent Friday afternoon. Out of all the things that you can imagine doing in New York, you come up and, all the things that you can see, all the places you can go. We spent a Friday afternoon that began at Kentucky Fried Chicken in Harlem, and we worked our way down Central Park West, asking every doorman if they knew the building that Bono lived in. And after about the 12th building, I started to realize he may have a problem. So I just wanted to warn you, Heather, you get a little concerned about him. I mean, it's okay. It's probably pretty normal. But Chris has always been somebody who's been very, he's so passionate about things. And from the time that we, met, when we lived together our senior year, I was always just drawn to, everything that he was drawn to, because he's so emphatic about it. He's so excited. You never see somebody so excited about so many things. And so, he would just get into something, and, you'd be drawn right into it too. When I first met him, I used to think that Second Baptist Church was the greatest thing in the world. And that's all that he talked about, even more than you too. And so it's always been, it's one thing after another. It's been great, and he's just fun to be around. There's probably been nobody as a friend that has had more an impact on my life as far as the way I think about my faith. And I probably owe more to you, Chris, in that than anything else. And just through all of our time together since college, trips we've been on, just the way that you've been a good friend, always seeking me out and keeping our friendship alive. It's meant so much to me, and I appreciate so much how you have been so tactful in so many things, which is not necessarily a word that comes to mind when you think about Chris. But you've been so great, so sensitive actually in the things spiritually in my life that have needed encouragement. And I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And also, just thinking back, I mean, I was kind of around, I guess, the same time that the two of you met. And it seems so long ago. The neatest thing about it is to see how the two of you started out, and it's so easy to look back and see how y'all were friends and how well y'all got along, and just to see how y'all just, have come to the point, you realize y'all have just a great friendship, and it's something that you want to share, the rest of your lives with. And so happy for you, so excited for you, and just wish you the best for your marriage.
My name is Nina Gwen, and I feel like someone has to speak for this group over here. All of us have not had the privilege of knowing Chris and Heather closely for so many years, and we don't have a lot of funny stories and close stories, but Ellen and I were college roommates, but most of all, we've known each other most of our lives, and we have a group of us over here who share a very special friendship. And I'm sure the rest of you here who are our age know that when you have that kind of love for each other as friends, you love each other's friends, each other's children in the same way. It's just so easy. It comes naturally. Even when we don't get to see these children, we love these children and we pray for these children. And how beautiful it is to see, after hearing Heather's parents, who we haven't known, knowing how Eleanor and John prayed for the Christian union of two children to come together in this way. And after such a year that's been so hard in the United States, how beautiful it is to know that God is still in control and the important things of life are still going to go on for all of us who believe. And love and friendship and caring never stops. It just goes right on. And so we've loved Chris since the day he was born, and his beautiful Heather. How lucky are you? Wow. And we know that this is going to continue on because this is God's plan. This is what's been prayed for. And we rejoice in it as we have rejoiced in the friendship all these years. We rejoice in the love that's in this room. This is what's really important, folks, and how wonderful it is to be together. So thanks for having us. We feel it's a privilege.
My name's Bob Heron, and Sandy and I have lived next door to Eleanor and Chris and the family since day one. 30, 40 years, 35, long time. I guess Chris was born there. Were you born there? Yeah. As David was. I want to set one thing a little bit straight. Earlier, McGreevy said Chris was at our house a lot. We had 5 boys, and I didn't see very much of Chris until we had a girl. And I didn't see much of him until our little girl got to be about 14. And then I saw a lot of Chris. I said, Sandy, here's Chris. I see him all the time. She said, well, Jane is here, I said, oh, okay. That makes sense. I think a lot about Johnny Lipscomb. Johnny was a very good friend of ours, and I know he would love to be here tonight. I miss Johnny, and I know his family misses him too. This is a very special evening, and I'm proud of you, Chris. I'm proud of your family, and I don't have a glass, but I think it would be nice to say a toast to Johnny, who was a good father, a good neighbor, and a good friend. Thank you, Eleanor, for such a great evening.
My name is David Jones, and I've probably known Chris the least of anybody here in terms of years. I moved to Dallas several years ago to become the youth pastor of Park Cities Presbyterian Church. And one of the interesting things is we've talked a little bit about Chris's darker side this evening, that I've been waiting really till this evening to share this story because no one really knows about it, and your Bible study guys will really appreciate this. But I was told when I first arrived at Park Cities that I needed to visit the Bible studies just to kind of see what was going on, see what was taking place in these studies. And so I had just recently met Chris Lipscomb, and so I called him one day and said, hey, I'm going to come to your Bible study tonight. And Chris was like, okay. I thought it was kind of strange. There was a pause and awkwardness, and I thought, well, maybe he just doesn't know me well. He's going to think, oh, here's the youth pastor guy. He's going to come to watch my Bible study. And I just tried to do everything I could to assure him, it was okay, I'm just coming to hang out. And we hang up the phone, and about 30 minutes later, my phone rings, and it's Chris. And he says, listen, I just need to get something straight with you. Did you say you were coming, or were you asking if you could come to my Bible study? And of course, I didn't know what to say. But I said, I guess, Chris, just to be honest with you, I was saying I was coming. And he said, well, just in the future, you need to ask if you're going to come. Now, the interesting thing about this, no one else knew that, did they, Chris? The interesting thing about this is that our greatest weaknesses are sometimes also our greatest strengths. And I think what that reflected about Chris was that he's very committed and he's very faithful, as you've heard many times tonight about just his commitment to his Bible study. And we've kind of joked at him, we've just raked him over the coals tonight about waiting so long. But I think that's just a reflection that Chris, controlling and possessive as he is, it's because he is completely certain that he will follow through with what he's committed to. And I just think it's the most beautiful thing to be here tonight, as we've known for a long time that you were just digging on Heather, and we were waiting for it to all come out. And my wife and I just think that you've picked just a wonderful bride, and that she is a godly woman. You couldn't do any better, and Heather, I don't think you could do any better either. So God bless you guys.
I know it's getting late, but I just couldn't let this evening go by without saying something to Heather and Chris. I'm Susan Bullock, and we all have people in our lives that we like, and we all have people in our lives that we love. And I love Chris and Heather. When I think of Heather, I think of a verse, I think it's in Colossians, I'm not sure, that talks about your speech should always be seasoned with salt, so you know how to respond to one another. And that's what I think about when I think of Heather, because I don't think I've ever heard a mean word come out of her mouth. Her speech is always seasoned with salt. And Chris, when I first met Chris, I thought he hated me. I thought, I heard all about this guy and this fun, loving, funny guy, and I met him, and it was kind of like, oh, hi. And I thought, okay, well, fine, if he doesn't like me, that's okay. But I got to know him, and when you get to know Chris, you love him. He's just a great guy, and he's just, under that exterior is such a soft sweetness, and he is so dear. And I can't think of a sweeter couple than Chris and Heather, and like you've heard tonight, their commitment to the Lord and their commitment to the children in our youth group is really, it's amazing. That's where they give their time. They really serve the Lord with their time. And I'm very excited about their marriage, and I know it will be so honoring to the Lord. Love you guys.
Anybody else? Because we're going to wrap up, I think. Well, for those of you who don't know me, a lot of these toasts tonight were paid professional toasters. You can get them on Harry Hines nowadays for really cheap. Well, I just want to thank everybody for being here. And there's been a lot of things said tonight about Heather and I. And the truth is that
Heather and I are at this point in our lives because of what the work the Lord has done in our lives, but really the work that He's done through every single one of you. Because you have loved us and encouraged us. You said the truth to us, or to me, with love. Many of you, when I was dragging my feet, or whatever you want to call it. So this is what tonight is really about. It's about each one of you. I can look at every face, and Heather can look at every face here and say, you are dear to us. And my mom's friends from Wichita Falls and South Padre Island, you're special to us because you're special to my mom. And so I just want to thank you all for coming, and we look forward to tomorrow and worshiping with y'all in our union and the marriage. And I just say I thank God for each and every one of you because you're that important to all of us. So thank you for coming.
I don't have much cushion in that.
I forgot to even tell them funny catch. They'll not call me like even 45 or something. Be there in half an hour. He's got the glasses on. I was
You actually bowled.
What?
You actually bowled.
I did? Yeah. You did? Well. Okay, 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock. Play like it's 1 o'clock.
What's that? 1
Like it's 1
yeah,
o'clock, so you'll
yeah.
be there by 1:30. That's how I have to do it.
See you.
Bye-bye. Bigger than the Academy Awards. Hey, looking good, looking good.
Are you have more?
Hi, John. Hi, Chris and Heather. We're very happy for you, and we're really happy that Chris has met such a nice little firecracker, little redhead. She's very nice. And that's all we have to say.
Was that
No.
Hey, look at the guy with the name tag on. Hey, name tags are in this year. I heard that lady say she knew your parents just because you knew their
the name tag. See, I'm telling you, it's working out.
That's awesome. Guys, hey, y'all did great.
See you in the morning.
Hey, 2 o'clock, man. It's good seeing you today.
He was always fishing over
There they are. Father and daughter. The father of the bride. Excitement. October 26th. Getting ready.
Is your silver too? Yeah, I got a gold.
What'd you get? What'd everybody get?
You not seen them yet?
Really? Man, have they got initials or anything?
Yeah.
Yes. Did he get it right?
I didn't check. I gotta check.
Here we go. We're checking. Stand by for checking to see if they got the initials right. Will they? What's the verdict? 3, 2.
Got it.
Oh my gosh.
Got it.
That was great.
Isn't that a great story?
I never knew that. Oh my God! I remember the night you came.
Remember? I remember the night you
It
came.
was a very
First night you came.
What's that? What's that?
We threw rocks. Throwing rocks. We were playing knockout.
That's right. That's right.
And you got took one in the head. We
That's
started
right.
laughing.
I totally
And he
forgot
won.
about that.
That was an interesting. I remember that so vividly. The rock incident.
I don't remember being pissed, but I remember doing something that I was like, man, what the fuck?
It wasn't bad. You're just like, what? Like, you didn't really get mad.
I think it was you, wasn't it?
It was like, once I show up and I know the rocks, you're like, what is going on?
That's right. That is
I bet
so
you
right.
did not.
Well, I was like, what the world's going on here?
He has to go one time. Lipscomb does that.
You probably thought, after hearing that story, you probably thought that was like a conspiracy. Let's get told us that the rocks on you when you got here. All right, guys.
Yeah, it was
an uninvited.
It was a rough crowd for the first 6 months, you know? It was really hard. That is so
Guys, the new guy comes.
That's right.
Stone him.
I was recounting the story of when I set up for y'all to all stay at the Hildebrands, and then I said, well, what time y'all gonna be out there? And you said, oh, about 5:30. Then your next thing was, you're not coming out there, are you? I was like, no, I guess not.
Are we protective of us, Chris?
I don't know why I said that. Jones's thing is a little bit twisted.
No!
I told that story!
Why did you tell that story?
You know I hate that story. You know I hate that story. No, I don't. I hate it. I told the Pokeball story. I don't know why I came up. I just told it.
Do you remember the rock throwing incident?
When I actually did come, and we were playing like knockout, like that, and then they started throwing rocks. They threw rocks at me.
Driveway?
Yeah, so I'm thinking like...
I knew that story.
The Bible
Ooh. Hey, see the
I'm
taking off, but Elise is still here. She's going to help me out.
He told me. I was gonna get him.
So was it true? Was that story true?
Absolutely true. In fact, we need to get Chris, is it true or not?
What?
Is it true?
Yes,
it's true.
What? Somewhat?
It's
What do
true.
you mean
Is it true,
somewhat?
Carl?
It's very true.
It's very true.
It's very true. Chris just said it.
I was telling them that he did the same thing to me at the Hildebrand, so I believe that story.
Will you take a
Here you
picture?
go. I got you.
You can middles.
Step aside with the man through. Yeah.
Here, wait, get...
Well, let's do one of the three.
And then we'll get it.
Bear.
You guys aren't in.
We're drinking
Next
beer.
one.
I can't find my eye. 1, 2, 3. Hold it. Okay, get it ready. I'm getting my camera. Get it ready. Get the next one.
Did they get a birthday candle for Robin?
Yes, we did, but he didn't want to celebrate.
Thank you, Heather. in Tribeca, so we've got home letters. And,
Jackie McGreevy of the famous 13 Eyewitness News. She works with Dave Ward,
Yes.
Sheriff Fryer.
Molly loves you both, and she can't wait to see you in Houston.
Oh, how fun. That's Sloan's dog. Oh, Molly, that's Sloan's dog. No, Sloan, I thought that was going to be the dog at first. I'm sorry.
No,
Sorry.
Molly is Chris's goddaughter.
Oh, that's right. Who's she staying
9
with?
months.
She over on
Jamia.
Tecumseh?
No, she's with Jamia Edwards on Piping Rock.
Nice.
It's
All
a lot
right.
of pressure. The camera turns on.
Yes, lots.
Like you gotta talk.
And that crowd was dead by the time I got up there. I might start going earlier in the show.
You got it. You got to attack while they're still fresh.
Chris Height.
Oh,
Chris Height worked.
You've done the best job.
home. I didn't do it more than praying. Thank you. Did y'all get the visit? They both lived in
We
Georgia.
were actually, John and roommates for 2 years.
Oh, it's too late tonight. Just pick up your boy.
Brother-in-law's over there to be. Rob, thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow live.
Thank you for filming and
Yes.
capturing it all on tape. Appreciate
What time do you have to be there?
6 a.m. I think. That's when they
Really?
want to start.
Every wedding I go to, it gets earlier and earlier.
It is earlier and earlier. And it's, Chris is really asking us to go over each and every step of the whole process one or two more times before the actual service. We didn't get it right tonight at all. It was a big disaster.
You have to do it again.
Heather almost called it off. So we're going to get there early and start over. We're going to redo it, actually, the whole thing.
It's a great idea. Great idea. Did you miss your ride?
You're on 2?
You did not miss it.
Well, I did, but it was intentional.
Missed his ride, but it was
Intentional.
Greetings to the couple. Happy marriage. Yes, Heather.
We got it all on film. Everybody's speeches. At least, please make sure y'all don't erase over. I know how they do. For the tape, you mean?
Yeah, just hold on.
Okay. But I'm gonna give you the camera back for charging and stuff.
Oh no, look at the ushers, they're wrestling. They were. One was tackling the other.
Can you just give us a we'll see you tomorrow at the wedding?
We'll see you tomorrow at the wedding.
That's it, live from, where are we? Come show us where we are, by the way. Man, is this Dallas?
I think if you look out this way, you can see Houston.
Houston.
Right, just over there, past Baylor Hospital.
You're serious?
Houston, yep.
Whoa.
Just down there.
So
where Chris grew up. If you go look up this way, you can see Plano area. That's where Heather grew up.
What's that big building right there? What highway is that? Is that 35?
No, this is 75 Central here, and then Woodall Rogers here.
And right now, traffic's looking kind of backed up. Stars game just let out.
George, we got a backup. Oh, sorry.
Let's go look at the new American Airlines, can we?
Yeah, we can.
This was a... Yes, ma'am.
Do a little commentary.
Yes. If you want me to, I don't have to, but...
There it is, right over there.
Ladies and gentlemen, newly open. Someday you'll watch this video and that thing will be 20 years old. But now, it's the American Airlines Center. Rob, how much did it cost?
I think a couple thousand.
Couple of thousand for the front door, probably.
It wasn't cheap.
Unbelievable. Beautiful. Beautiful. Beautiful place. Rob, appreciate you having it here. It's a great idea.
Thank you for coming.
Smitty didn't show up though. The piano was bare.
Not on me.
I left mine in the car.
I couldn't catch it.
How's everything going? Is it good so far? Good. Well, I have the end of that tape. I was going to get another.
It didn't matter. Use every possible
He was drinking alcohol.
All right, guys. This one's for Chris. There we are. Right in there. Perfect. One of your favorite uncles. All right. Chris and Clay. There they are, right there. Hang in there, guys. One time for me.
So bad.
How's it feel?
It's a little tight.
You always have to, like, when the guy's measuring, you have to go, oh no, no,
Yeah.
come on now.
Or you have to like sneak a
Yeah,
finger in there. Kind of
'cause
do that while you get measured.
They're like,
Yeah, it
okay,
feels good. You got a finger's
14 and a half. I'm like, try about 16.
16. We'll do 16.
Do you remember what they measured you at?
I don't know if I ever got fitted for a tux.
You look good, man. You look great.
How do we all look today? Pretty good.
Oh, everybody looks great.
That was the Booyer Teak.
It's a big day. Chris looks good.
Big
What's this called?
day.
What's this thing called? Boutique somebody?
Boutique.
Boutonniere.
That was a boutonniere. Nobody's gonna play down my guy.
Looks great. It's the first time I've ever seen you wearing flowers.
Yeah.
Got the whole crew. The ushers will be ushering today. Craig D.
We have yet to receive
Craig, how's it feel?
Any instruction. Look at him. Get that.
Oh, his favorite nephew. He already kicked out the other one. He blinked. Nice. They get their turns.
I think he looks tired.
Should he be wearing his glasses?
Yeah, he should be wearing his glasses. We're literally like 3 inches thick. The glasses we saw.
Clay's got the same thing.
Chris Lipscomb, uptight glasses.
He's got the worst eyesight I've ever seen.
How's it going? How's the wedding coordinating?
It's going really good.
Are you excited? Who are you
Yes,
talking
I'm
to on the
very
radio?
excited. That's
Skip.
to our sexton, Juan Cantera. Yes, I can always reach Skip at any given notice. I always have a walkie-talkie for his weekend.
That's awesome. Will he be attending today? Do you know?
You know, I really don't know. Reverend Tim Kinsley is doing the wedding, and I don't know if Skip will be a guest or not.
Well, I know Saturday's a big day to
We're going to
get
eat
ready.
with somebody from 1 to 2. I've obtained that information.
1 to 2, we have him.
So possibly.
Could be making it 1 to 2. Here we go with the ta-ta-ta-ta. How do you get the bell choir to show up? That's what I wonder. That's- I've never. Did they feed y'all?
We can't be doing that.
But number one wedding not feeding, and they pass out. Hey, what's up, goofs? Let's see. You're Jerry, the cross carrier, and you're Michael. Hey, Michael, how's it going? Hey, do the chant.
What?
First comes Heather and Chris.
Chris and Heather sitting tree, K-R-S-I-N-G. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes
Chris.
Chris and the baby Chris. That's all. They were drinking alcohol.
You've never heard that version? Give it to us one more time.
I'm not related to him. I just look like it.
Let's see the moonwalk.
Oh, they can do it.
Bust the moonwalk out.
There comes their lovely mother, Mrs. Elise Denny Creston.
In the flower girl.
Look at that sweet flower girl. How cute. There's Elvis over there. Hello, Elvis.
Hey, Dave.
I like that. Kenny Rogers. Kenny Rogers. You decorated my life. Dad, how do you feel before the wedding?
Hey, I'm just kind of loose. No, it's kind of just as the time gets closer and closer, it's just kind of a, you're not thinking about it a lot, I guess, but you're just kind of going with the flow, I guess.
Right, you can't stop it.
Looking forward to it all coming to a head here.
Right. Well, we'll be watching.
Okay.
Thanks. That's not all. Hey, that's not all. That's not all. What?
They were drinking some apple juice.
What else would they drink?
Frisky.
Or what?
Frisky. Wine. Some alcohol. That's
What do y'all think? Moments before the wedding.
A little crazy, a little wild.
Did Chris take care of y'all with a good lunch, some Subways or something? Feed y'all up?
It's unknown.
Unknown.
We still don't know if there's a good lunch awaiting us or not.
I had a big breakfast at Kubi's, though. I'm not really interested in eating at the moment.
Who'd you meet with? You always meet for breakfast.
It was Hannah Mowry. My wife and I met with Hannah Mowry.
Nice. I remember always hearing the guys saying that they'd be meeting with the DJ of DJs.
Well,
before they could join the church, they had to come through you.
Well, Kubi's was my office, essentially. You know, people look at me gaining 30 pounds when I got married, and they think that was an easy task, but, you know, many a dollar were spent at Kubi's on German toast.
That place is not a fat-free...
You too can have a physique like this, if you would like to eat at Kubi's as frequently.
Is that it? Do they have the little hearts by the menu items, the red hearts, saying fat-free items?
No, not at Kubi's. They have like Surgeon General's warning.
There's just one, and it's by skim milk.
Yeah.
That's it. That's the only fat-free item.
Too much German toast has been proven to be dangerous to the health.
Oh gosh.
Actually, I had a King Louis this morning. Knocked me out.
Never eaten there.
Soaked with butter, and then toasted lightly with ham on it, and then there's 2 open-faced eggs with Hollandaise sauce poured all over it, and then a pile of country potatoes.
Right. So that's probably like 6,000 calories right there.
That's your day right there, your history.
Sad thing is, it's not.
It's just the start.
The thing about that stuff is it makes you so tired, and then you're hungry again in like 2 hours because your stomach's expanded.
There's somebody doing what they call bunny ears, I think, above your head.
You're on tape.
Oh my
gosh. We have another reuniting with David Jones, long time. Hi. What? Not supposed to film. Ladies and gentlemen, the first viewing of the mother of the groom. How does it feel? How does it feel, Eleanor?
All this stuff hanging. Let me
You
go
need to
put
get
this
rid
down.
of that. Don't be taking pictures.
Do I carry a ring?
Mrs. Creston, how's it feel, Mrs. Creston?
Thank you very much. My name is Elvis.
Mrs. Creston, how is it being the mother of such lovely children? Oh my gosh, look who just came in. Look who just came in. Sarah Lipscomb.
Came in.
Ready? I've never seen him.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I don't. I heard.
Yeah.
He's not Cliff.
Laura, what's going on? Good. How are you? Hey, Laura, how's it going?
Everybody had to
come on, Sarah. Hey.
Sarah, you look so pretty.
Hey, that's not all. Oh yeah, I'm surprised he wasn't last night. I have a tendency to get him wired up. There would be dotmatic trouble.
John?
Yes, ma'am. I've got mine. too.
This is Sarah, little Sarah, and this is big Sarah.
Sarah, we're gonna just take the initial one out first.
Matthew, did you get a picture of Matthew, Sarah, and David?
Let's get them. Guys, come
I want to
here.
get a picture of them. Come here, guys.
You get between them. Come over
Here, why don't y'all come over here? I want to take a picture together.
Well, you want Sarah in the middle.
Hey, can't wait to see you in your robe. Just kidding.
I'm not laughing.
Are you Catholic? With your sister here, the main parents right here bossing them around. Let's get them off camera.
Whoa, oh, don't mess with
There, we're head to turn just a little bit for me. There we go. Right there. Beautiful. Thank Chris now. There you go. Right there. Here, Kay. There we go. Right there. Great smile. Thanks, Chris. Oh, man. Right there. Beautiful. Flowers down there.